Hi, everyone. This is Miranda with the Valuable Voices podcast. I'm really excited for you guys to meet Sasha. She's doing something I'm really excited about, helping working moms, I think, feel less overwhelmed, feel less like they're not doing it at home. And I can totally relate. So I can't wait to dive in. Sasha, thanks for reaching out. I know we met in a podcast group on Facebook. And again, I can't wait to get to know you more. So thanks for being here.
Of course, I'm so excited to be here and again to talk to a fellow working mom because you know what it is? I feel like there's just so much going on all the time, and we have these careers that we're going for and we should be going for, which is one of my biggest principles is to not feel guilty about having a career. I just want women to be able to come home after their workday and not feel like it's a second shift at work.
I love that. I love that. I remember like 5 years ago just feeling like I was running on a hamster wheel. I feel like there has to be more to life than this. And that's kind of when I decided, okay, what am I going to do differently? So again, let's kind of dive right in. What made you kind of take this route? I'd love to hear kind of your story.
Absolutely. So, I will say I've been fortunate enough of where I've always worked in a career that I love. I've always worked almost 15 years in nonprofit, which is kind of, I'm a giver. I have my master's in social work. I've climbed the corporate ladder, and it was amazing. And I loved it. And when I was coming home, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much. I felt like our weekends were jam-packed with either kid activities or events, and everything was just flying by. But the thing is, everyone around me was in the same boat.
Yeah.
Everyone around me was like, well, yeah, that's life. And I was just like, this cannot be, like, we gotta be able, like, why do we work so hard then? Why do we, strive to do more and to achieve more if we're not actually enjoying it? So
Yeah.
at some point, it really felt where it was so off balance, where I was just like, oh, I'm coming home and my family is not getting the 100% me that they deserve. I want my kids to grow up and remember, yes, my mom had a career. Yes, she was passionate and she was happy. And that wasn't where I was at. And that's where we really saw the need to change things around. And that's why now, after making those changes, I've come up with a 4-step method for other women to be able to do the same thing. And I can tell you, life looks so much better on this side. And I just can't go back. I can't go back now.
I love it. So I can just feel your energy. I can see it in in everything you're doing. So, and you probably don't want to give everything away, but you gotta give us a step or
Yes.
how do we get from here to there?
Of course. The one thing I see a lot is that people say, I'm at point A, I want to be at point B, but point B looks so different than where point A is. And that's where I come in and I say, I get it. You'll get to point B. The difference is we can work together and it'll be a lot easier, or you can try and stop. Well, why do diets fail? Why do we say we're going to go do yoga for every day of our lives and then we
Right.
fail? Right? Because I believe the foundation isn't there. And that's where my 4-step method comes in. So what I do is I first work with women to focus on themselves. Like, how did we get here? Is it because of societal norms that we feel that we need to be doing everything? Is it because of our childhood? Is it just the way that we're programmed? So really being able to discover what's going on inside, because once
Mhm.
we can understand ourselves, then we can move on to step 2, which is focusing on the home. I really believe that owning a home, renting a home, it's one of the biggest financial decisions we ever make in our lifetime. And it's about time we enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I really believe in living a simple, minimalist, decluttering life. So don't get scared, listeners. That doesn't mean you have to get rid of everything. No, I just want women to come home and feel like it's a sanctuary, a place that they can kick their feet up. And that does mean just maybe rearranging a few things, maybe simplifying in some ways, or maybe adding something to
Mhm.
make it more meaningful for people. So that's step 2 with home. And that's when we move on to relationships. I know as women, we do a lot of the caretaking roles. So we are usually the ones that are planning the activities, that are planning the teacher's gifts, that are, making sure birthday presents are wrapped and holiday parties look amazing at our house, all
Yeah.
of these different things. And that's where I come in and say, what do you really prioritize? And what can you let go of? Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we all have the same amount of hours in a day. So I want you to utilize those hours for what
Yeah.
you actually enjoy, not what you feel needs to get done. And there are things that just need to get done. People need to eat. Kids need
Yeah.
to eat every day, all right?
Right.
And like multiple times. Laundry needs to get done, all right? The
Yeah.
house, can sometimes get away with a little bit of not cleaning, but in the most part, there are just certain things we need to make sure get done. But what I come in and say is, it doesn't have to all be on you, and let's figure out a way that works for you so it's not all on you. So that's the
Mhm.
relationship part, because again, there's other people you share the home with.
Yeah.
What are
Really
some
good.
ways that
Yep.
they can take on responsibilities? And at the same time, I think a lot of times in that aspect, people just haven't asked. That's what
Yeah.
happens a lot. They hear, well, it's always been me. I get it, it's always been you, but do you want it to still always be
Yeah.
you?
Or it's just
And
easier. Then it'll get done. It'll get done on your timeline and how you want it done.
yes. And that's where managing expectations and really
Yeah.
just relationship, that's kind of what the relationship step really looks like. And
Awesome.
then, which is step 4, is really the habits and the routines and systems. And by the time we get there, to me, it's that we've laid the foundation. We've talked about the self, we've talked about the home, we've talked about the relationships. Things are already in motion. And that's why I know that women can have habits, routines, and make them stick, is because by that time, everything else has been laid there. And now it's just more of the, okay, do this, do that, do this, do that, because it's stuff they've thought about, stuff they've committed to, and they understand why it's important. And that's how I believe, and I work with women to set them up for success.
I love that. I can relate to so many, and I'm sure other people can too. I think it's the accountability. I'm guessing you're checking in, you're actually focusing on something that you want and you desire. Sometimes we just go through life so quickly. We're distracted. We set goals and we're not sure how to get there. So I love that. I know people can find you in your Facebook group. So tell us
Yes.
your Facebook group and your website.
Absolutely. If you are a working mom, head on over to sashaxhome.com, and there you can grab the 5 steps to coming home happy after work. And please, I'd love for you to join the community on Facebook. Moms taking their life to the next level at home. I go live, I share tips, I answer comments. Come join. This is all a journey. We're all on a journey. And I just want to say, take the small step and you will get there. I know you will.
Yeah, it is just baby steps and just believing you're worth it. I don't know if that's part of it, but sometimes it's like, again, there has to be more to life than this. I'm not, oftentimes I feel like I'm not a good mom. I'm not a good employee. I'm not a good spouse. I'm not a great friend or a daughter because I feel like I'm pulled in a million different directions. Right.
Yes, and that's where the prioritization comes in.
Yeah.
Because again, for us, we could be doing, there's a million things we can do. We have
Yeah.
so many options. Thank God we live in a country, in the
Right.
area, in the time in society where we have those options, but that
Yeah.
becomes so overwhelming. And that's where I come in and say, let's get back to basics. Let's simplify. What do you really want? When you know what you want, it's so much easier to get there because you're out of that fog. And that's what happens. Women come to me and they're just in this fog. And I'm
Yeah.
saying, let's figure out how to get you forward, get you out of the tunnel, get you out of the fog.
I love that. I'm like, sign me up. So I was looking at your website. I know you do a free consultation. What does that look
Yes.
like if somebody were to click on that button?
Absolutely. Yep. I have a scheduler in there. And then when the free session is really just learning about you.
Okay.
I really believe in giving value. I'm not here to sell. I believe in the work that I do. So if somebody feels that it's a good match, absolutely come for the free session. You'll see how I work. You'll see if we'll a good fit together. And from there, you can choose whether we work together or not. I hope whatever we uncover in that session, you'd be able to take back and implement.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, I'm so excited. Again, I know many, many people can relate. I was there 5 years ago and I feel like I'm constantly there. There's always that next level or, okay, now what can I do? I got my home a certain way or these relationships in order. There's always something more, something at that next level, right?
Yes, and that's the thing. When we look at our careers, we always think about, okay, continuous learning, right? We
Yeah.
go to school. Just because we get an undergrad in a subject doesn't mean that we're all of a sudden going to be a CEO, right? We
Right.
start at the bottom, we learn, we grow, and we have experience. And this is what it is. And I try to really bring that in of thinking about, okay, what skills do you use during your career day and
Oh,
work
that's
day?
good.
And then how are you able to implement it at home? Because a lot of times people are like, I'm not this mom, like I'm just this and that. I said,
Yeah.
but that's okay because you haven't practiced that skill.
Yes.
Just like I've taken years to get to where you are in your career. It's gonna take time. So exactly how you're saying, you were there 5 years ago, and some of those thoughts may still be coming up. That's where I come in and say, I get it. Everyone's gonna have thoughts that come up. Just like if you're in a career and you get a bump in terms of like a higher, not even just salary, but just in a new position, you're
Right.
going to have that fear like, oh, now I'm at this level
Yeah.
and I have to do this. But you know that you have skills that got you there, and that'll take a little bit of learning, but you'll succeed. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to bring to the home life as well.
That's really good. Sometimes I tell my kids, like, I've never been a mom to a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old before. So I'm learning as I go, and just being vulnerable with them. And I think the comparison, so many of us probably look on Facebook or whatever and see a meal that somebody made. And it's like, I've not made my kids a meal in weeks or whatever. But I love that. Again, just thank you for being here. Last question. Who would be
Yes.
like a mentor or a book? Obviously, you're constantly learning and growing. So is
Yes.
there, I have many people out there that I love, but I'm curious who somebody is that has made a difference in your life.
Oh, the book Fair Play. I
Okay.
don't know if you're familiar with it, but Fair Play is to me amazing
Okay.
and really revolutionary. The Blessing of a Skin Knee in terms of parenting is one that I always highly, highly recommend.
Okay. That sounds
And
good.
for the self part, You Are a Badass.
Love
That's a
it.
classic.
Yes.
It's a classic. So in
Jen
terms of
Sincero,
those,
right?
yep. And kind of turn in those little buckets. That's really what I recommend. And that's the thing. There's so much information out there.
Yeah.
And we as women are like, okay, but then at the same time, we can easily get pulled into the Google and pulled
Yes.
into like so many things. More than anything, I want to say, keep it simple. Keep
Yes.
it back to basics. You guys already know the stuff you need to do. As a coach, I'm just here to make sure that it comes to the surface and there's a plan for it to happen. So
I love it.
definitely, there's so much stuff that you can learn, and I encourage everyone to always keep learning.
Yeah. And I would just say, give yourself grace, don't judge yourself. You're not alone. Those were some of the thoughts I had. And not to, you know, I just know my story is I used to sit on the couch and watch a few hours of TV because I was so tired. I was exhausted. I felt I wanted to be there for my kids. And then once I decided, you know what, I'm going to actually read a book, I'm going to learn to do something, it's empowering. So I love what you're
Yes,
doing. I love your
yep.
story.
It's taking back the control. It's
Yes.
taking back the control over your own life and making
Mhm.
decisions and choices
Yeah.
that you are able to be fulfilled by.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that you were able to make that change. And for others that may be listening, I would say start small. If you're watching TV for 3 hours a day, it may be too much to just turn off TV the next day, right?
Yes.
But start small. Can you do 2.5? Can you do 2 episodes of a show instead of 3? And
Right.
start from there. We don't need to, we can get to be. It doesn't mean that we need to get to be overnight. Start
Yeah.
small, and that way you build on it and you're more likely for it to actually have a long lasting effect.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I love that. Well, thank you so much for jumping on. I commented, but I just love that orange tree behind you. I know you're in California. It's beautiful. So, and I love your energy. So thanks for being on here. I really appreciate it. I'll put your Facebook group and your website in the notes, and you guys reach out again, just even if it's just a free consultation, just
Yes.
you are worth it. And no one else is going to take control of your life, but you're in charge.
Yep. No one's going to live your life but you.
Yeah.
100%. Thank
Awesome. Well,
you.
thank you, Sasha. Have a blessed day, everybody.
Thanks.